Whether or not you agree with global warming or climate change, no one denies temperature weirding. How are we going to handle extreme weather when things get extreme? It's Tomorrow Today. I'm Josh Burstein, and I've visited modern Atlantis, the Maldives, where I was catfished by not Jason Momoa. And while people want to help save this pristine-looking place with world-class diving and surf, rich old dudes will find another beach if they have to. Maldivians will not have another home quite like their own. This is just the tip of the melting iceberg. Oceans are rising, and we all may end up in hot salt water. Major coastal cities like Mumbai, Miami, Manhattan, they're all only 3 to 6 feet above sea level. When temperatures get weirder, aka hot AF, water is life, mini Wichoni. Our literal global thirst trap means clean water scarcity already exacerbates many major Middle Eastern conflicts. And 2 billion people currently live in water-stressed areas, while blue ivy bathes in Evian water. And that's a real VH1 fact. And don't at me, Bayhive, the bay population is extremely at risk due to temperature weirding. We've literally boiled all the salmon in parts of the Pac Northwest. A slow boil is a terrible way for salmon to go. Their best is sashimi. Severe droughts, then floods, then more droughts, demolishes agriculture. You can't just up and move wine country. Where can bachelorette parties go to be classy then? Some places are really worth fighting for, like the majesty and diversity seen in our national parks.
With all due respect, national parks, Josh.
Ayla.
Okay, fine. National parks are super important to preserving the little flora and fauna that we have left. And it is pretty dope that Teddy Roosevelt was like, nature, I just can't quit you. But what many people don't know is that most, if not all, national parks are on stolen Native American territory. Often tribes were told that they would have land privileges, only to have them stripped away and get straight up banned once the parks were opened. This has happened over and over again since the first park, Yellowstone, was founded in 1872. So, call Smokey the Bear, because I'm about to roast these bitches. Death Valley! You've got sites like the Devil's Golf Course and the Devil's Cornfield. Okay, we get it. You're the edgy one. Ooh, and you have a ghost town. What's your podcast called? Voyages. Finding out that northern Minnesota has a national park is like biting into a fried Twinkie and finding a stalk of celery. I only need malls and murder from you, Minnesota. In other white nonsense, Dry Tortuga, somehow a national park and not something a Florida man calls the rusted out boat on his front lawn. And don't think I forgot about you, Yosemite. Who eroded and made you El Capitan? Half dome, lazy. Call me when you have a full dome, okay? Yosemite Falls, more like Yo-Same to be 3
What?
waterfalls.
Oh, no, Ayla, must be
one.
a bad reception in that part.
Stop trying to play
Yeah.
as Yosemite.
I never knew Ayla was such an anti-Yosemite. Sorry, team. Picking up our fights to save the Earth. It's a long, arduous journey, and we'll never be able to say, well, we saved every whale in the ocean. Time to take a year off. So, celebrating victories and learning from them is imperative. The Dakota Access Pipeline woke a lot of Americans up to the plight of Native and Indigenous people. And after a dozen years, Keystone XL is finally dead. That's a good murder. Farmers, ranchers, indigenous tribes, everyone. They came together, even built solar energy barns in the middle of the path of the pipeline. But in those 11 years since the most David and Goliath fight since the actual David and Goliath, how many more fresh hells happened? The point is, these major minor victories are roadmaps and playbooks to be drawn on for future activist success. Like a wise androgynous eco-genie once said, the power is yours. And one person has been marching for years on behalf of Captain Planet, and that's legendary environmentalist Bill McKibben. Bill McKibben, thanks for living with us in the future.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Bill, you said COVID was a dress rehearsal for climate change. How can people power help get us through the most rapid, wretched change?
The hope is that we come out of all this with a renewed appreciation for the fact that there are things we have to do together. The only time we make progress is when we build big movements that leaves our political leaders with no choice. Ronald Reagan convinced us all that government was the problem, not the solution.
Well, speaking of the House of Reagan, truth and science and arithmetic are not really persuading a subsect of Congress right now.
Well, one of the things to realize about Congress is it's basically in the thrall of the fossil fuel industry. So part of what we do is try and stand up to that industry, hence this massive fossil fuel divestment movement.
And do you have any hot stock tips for properly divesting from fossil fuels?
If we just shorted fossil fuel stocks a decade ago when we started down this thing, we'd have enough money to fund the movement forever. The fossil fuel industry has been by far the worst performing part of the economy for the last decade. So far, human beings have raised the temperature of the planet a little more than 1 degree Celsius, 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Even if we kept the promises that we made in Paris, we won't be able to have civilizations like the ones we're used to.
I'm curious if we just need to have a bigger number. Do you think if we started saying we've cooked the ocean 1.1 million millicelsius, it may actually make an impact?
Well, it might. A different way of saying it is the extra heat that we trap in the planet's atmosphere every day because of the coal and oil and gas that we burn is the heat equivalent of 400,000 Hiroshima-sized explosions.
Well, I'm glad you're willing to finesse math to save humanity.
The main task between now and 2030, anyway, is obvious. It's to take the technologies we have and deploy them at scale. We have to stop burning things on Earth.
Thinking of global good, with COVID, we've let storage lockers of vaccines go to waste in Texas when there are people right south of the border that could just, pop up, grab their first shot, and we could be heroes. But America is very introverted as of late and bad at sharing. So what is our responsibility to climate migrants who are escaping arid areas out of necessity?
It's a really important question, and I think you can look at it again almost mathematically. When they get to the border, who knows what their legal status is exactly, but their moral status is strong because nobody in Honduras did a damn thing to cause climate change. It's all a rounding error in the global tables. But the 4% of us who live in the United States have contributed about a quarter of all the carbon that sits in the atmosphere.
If we're looking back to now from 2050, what's the most absurd practice that we're all doing that we would just laugh off?
Probably giant semi-military vehicles. If you're going to have one, check out the Ford E-150. If nothing else, it's got a hell of a lot of outlets, so you can power all the things you can think of just sitting in your driveway.
I did not expect you to plug a Hemi in this interview, so thank you for that. In the future, we're going to have to accept we've sous vided the ocean. A lot of our most adorable animals are going to be legends to Zoomers' grandchildrens, like dragons and unicorns today. And we're all going to jump on Zillow for the best vacation homes along Canada's sandy beaches. There is a solution for a less deaf future. Paper straws. No, but check yourself, turtle murderers. We need to massively overhaul our systems. Like, no more sucking dinosaur juice out of the ground and burning it as fuel. That was not a great long-term strategy, humanity. You know what could work? Offering everyone a whole new deal of systemic changes to reorient our lives towards a renewable future with job creation that's built to last in Waterworld, which apparently is getting a sequel because we have improved nothing in 20 years. And I do recommend getting used to drinking Kevin Costner's pee. I'm an early adopter. Sorry to Miami though, you're screwed either way. Tomorrow, we abandon Florida, just like Florida abandoned common decency today. And that's the show. Please Lark, Kermit, and Surf Tide us on whatever the most popular digital platform is in 2030. Thanks for watching.